Well, hi everybody, this is DearMamaSal, and the word of today is confused. Well, hi everybody, this is DearMamaSal, and I'm totally confused because it is not even spring yet, and the temperature today is 21 degrees in Canada, which would make it about 70 in America. This is like summer for us. and we're still in winter. So very confused about that to start with. But, no complaints. Thank you. And just an update on my health, which is also a little bit confusing. I went yesterday. I really have to be very grateful for living in Canada, because part of the medical system here allowed me to go and spend 1 hour with a dietitian and another hour with a nurse. And by the way, I am more than invited to go back and spend more time with either of them for any time I want for the next year. That is amazing, so you can get your education. By the way, I can also go to group meetings if I want to. So I think it's really important, because what happened was on the first one with the dietitian, I got really confused because I was really going so well on everything I'm doing, and Jody had told me that that's what was going to happen. And funny enough, my friend Yvonne, also said the same thing. But what happened was that she said that I was apparently doing really well on all the eating things, and there was one bit of confusion. You will know that I have been trying to top up my eating to balance out my carbs. I wasn't worried so much about calories, but what I was trying to do was learn how to balance my carbs, and I wanted to keep my carbs below 50%. The interesting thing, the dietitian said to me, for the sake of being 50 to 55% in terms of my carbs, don't bother to balance it out, because you will not put in the extra calories either, and that will help you. So you're going, that was an interesting bit of learning for me. Now the other thing is, who would have known this? I don't know if I've discussed this with you before, but sourdough, and obviously whole wheat sourdough would be even better. Sourdough is much lower on the glycemic index. That's how quickly the bad stuff gets released and causes sugar spikes. The sourdough is much lower, and I'm going, really? So I've been making my own sourdough, whole wheat sourdough, and I'm getting to enjoy bread differently now. I'm making my own little bread rounds about this big, and having them with peanut butter as a snack, and they actually work very well and keep me quite satisfied as well. But obviously I have them with my fruit. So that was another interesting thing, and the fact that half a whole wheat bagel with cream cheese actually scored way higher than one piece of sourdough. And I'm going, well, given the choice, give me sourdough any day. So that was a good thing to learn. Now, the second confusing part was talking to the nurse. And you can probably hear the change in my voice tone here. Because what the nurse told me was, number one, I have apparently dropped nearly 2 inches of height. That surprised me. And obviously their scale weighed me in way heavier than my scale at home. But I was really proud of myself. I didn't run with that. I just know that is what their scale weighs me in at. And that is okay. You know, it is what it is on their scale, and I didn't fight it. I said, obviously, my scale at home is much more forgiving, but it was also, I'm not wearing a whole lot of clothes when I do it. In fact, I'm not wearing any. So once I got my weight and height sorted out, we went and had a bit of a chat about this and that, and she was telling me that my numbers are actually really confusing. The reason is that my actual day-to-day numbers, and she took my blood glucose test while I was there, my regular blood glucose is absolutely fine. The only thing, you know, which is what happened when I did the other test, the A1C, the only thing I failed that flagged me as diabetic was the sugar overload one. That's when they give you the equivalent about 3 cans of Coke and see how your body handles it. Well, hello, my body doesn't handle it. And she said, you know, quite honestly, I would not call yourself diabetic yet. So I had to take off the little thing that told everybody I was diabetic. And she said, you know, although obviously your doctor has told you because of the number that you got, you know, apparently on that sugar load test, if you hit 11, you're diabetic. I hit 11.1, but the question was, what had I been up to the day before, if anything, that might have contributed to that. So what she's saying is it would take 2 of those sugar load tests to confirm me as diabetic, and I've only had 1 so far. And she said, you know, with all that you're doing and the numbers that you're showing, I would just keep doing what you're doing, because I'm pretty sure you're going to not have a major problem, even if you stay diabetic in terms of the number on the load. You're not diabetic day to day. It just means that you need to be, you know, careful if you have a big meal of some sort and don't have too much lemon meringue pie, because that's, you're going to hit a problem. So I thought that was really interesting and confusing, because I gave her a whole litany, because they asked me to do that, of symptoms. And she said the interesting thing is every one of these symptoms would be diabetic if your day-to-day sugar levels were higher. The interesting thing is you have got all these symptoms and they're not due to your blood sugar. Now, I don't know about you, but that was pretty confusing to me. Which means I've got to go back and talk to the wise man, my doctor. Because, the fatigue, a very noisy truck, the fatigue, the weeping eyes, the outbreaks, on my skin, I'm getting, and I have had for some time, sort of outbreaks, like pimples and stuff. My body is trying to get rid of toxins in some way. I am too much information, I know, but I'm peeing, like 10 to 12 times a day and night. So you understand there are lots of symptoms that apparently are normally associated with diabetic. But, and again, I will try and make sure everybody's clear on this one, my day-to-day numbers are not diabetic. It's only when they totally load me with sugar that I can't control it. And she said, that would not be unusual necessarily. But you still haven't had the second test to confirm it. So I'm a little confused, and I wish... The good news is I'm doing really well, people. Thank you, Jody. Thank you to Beth as well, and everybody else who have given me the help with learning how to pre-prep my food and put it into suitable portion control. Thank you for teaching me that I can still have good stuff, my daily ice cream. I can still have my good stuff and keep within the numbers if I'm careful. You know, so these sort of things are all important. And important for everybody to know, because what I realized was this was a major wake-up call for me, obviously. How old is he now?
He's 10.
He just is so adorable.
He's such a sweet dog. Yeah.
I know. I mean, you know, I so miss my dog, but
yeah.
It's just like, I look at him and I go, you've been around a long time,
Yeah.
my friend.
Yeah.
So he's 10 now.
Yeah.
How's he doing?
Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good to see you.
Nice
All
to
the
see
best.
you.
Bye.
Take care.
So, just to sum it up, a very confusing day, but good news. The good news is what I've been doing is working and continuing to work. So, for those of you who are not subscribers on the DearMamaSal.com blog page, it's DearMamaSal.com, you will find if you go there is a tab that says subscribers, and the subscribers pages, I'm talking about what I'm doing in terms of my food and good days and bad days sort of stuff. I'm keeping some updates on there for those of you who maybe want to lose weight and you know, want to make some changes but don't want to diet. So that's the whole thing that I am not confused about at all, which is what I'm doing is a lifestyle change, not a diet. And I'm actually thoroughly enjoying it in a lot of ways because it allows me to have those little moments of really enjoying the things that I shouldn't eat as much. Shouldn't is a guilt word, but the things that I need to be aware of are not so healthy for me at my age or yours. So when I do have mashed potato now, boy, do I enjoy them. It's not just a case of let me have 2 globs of mashed potatoes. I have 1 glob, that well-known measurement, a glob. I have 1 glob and I thoroughly enjoy them. And so, you know, you look at it and I go, you know, I've learned, for example, that baking your potato, if you're going to have a potato, have half of one. But I actually just put a little bit of oil on it on both sides. I actually cut it into quarters, but lengthwise, and make giant fries, and they're so good. You know, it's like you learn to get really creative. It's okay to have half a potato, but let me enjoy it. And so there are a lot of little things that you can do that are really going to make a difference. And definitely watching the carb numbers has helped me realize how much I can play with it. Now I'm working at watching the carb numbers and trying to keep within a new goal in terms of calories. My first goal was to watch the carb numbers and be able to control that, and I can. Now I'm going to see if I can balance the carbs and the calories together, in which case I should systematically be losing weight. That was another very interesting thing that the dietitian said, by the way, which is if what you are doing is working, we're not going to tell you to change. If you're steadily losing weight by the amount of exercise you're doing, by the eating choices you're making, we're not going to suggest you do anything different. If you found your own way of doing it, go right ahead. We just want to help you be consistent in losing the weight. Interesting, right? This is DearMamaSal saying, a little confusing, but very rewarding in lots of ways. Knowledge is always very rewarding. Look after one another, but please, 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 like me, please start by looking after yourself. Bye-bye for now. Bye.